Hey folks, and welcome to the Michael Rollins Show. Today, I don't know if you know this, but Mr. Steele is a complete and total 100% fanatical gearhead. The man loves cars, and you get to hear him nerd out about cars today. So here's a question for you. How many cars does he own? Better yet, what's his next car gonna be? He answers those questions for you today. And there's even a surprise question at the end that I think you'll thoroughly enjoy. Just to recap, there is a new tier on my Patreon. It's the $3 podcast tier. And that gets you all of the segments of the interview, plus extra stuff that isn't included in the YouTube releases in one condensed audio file. And that thing can be added into a podcast app and listened to whenever I release them. I will be releasing these on a weekly basis with every interview that I do. So I hope that you truly enjoy that. The information for Mr. Steele and for my Patreon can be found in the description. I hope that you guys really, really enjoy this episode, and I will talk to you on the other side. Bye. All right. Well, I have two more questions for you. These should go pretty quickly. So first off is, what's your next car going to be?
I don't know. I've been thinking about this actually.
I figured you were.
I was content for like a week, and now I really
like. Why don't you go over the number of vehicles that you possess right now?
Okay, I just have 3.
So tell folks what they are.
Okay, well, I can just tell you about this year.
Just what you possess now.
This year I have, well, right now I have my van. That's an RV that I built into like an RV, bought it as a panel van and turned it into a little camper, and then drove around the country in it. And I plan on doing that again, so I haven't sold that. Okay. And then I have a 2008 Lotus Exige that I've put a bunch of money into, making the suspension and the engine, and I did all the work myself, which I haven't done any car work since I was like 22 years old. I basically built a 240 from the time I was 16 to 23, and that's all I did. It's every single dollar I ever made went into that car. I bought it for $800. I put about 35 grand in it over the course of the time that I owned it, and that's what I did. I did 99% of the work on the car. I loved the car, and probably 90% of the work. I didn't do the engine swap itself, but the Lotus, it's just so inspiring to work on, so I just do everything myself. And I've made a bunch of videos. I actually have a bunch of videos that are kind of on the back burner that I wanted to put all the parts on it that I got. So I've done all suspension components now since I made those other videos where I put like the shifter in and the exhaust on. So, I've done like rear sway bar, front sway bar, full coilover, corner balance, and some tow rods in the front, tow rods in the rear, and then what are they, like the tie rod end bushings in the front, or not bushings, tie rod end links in the front, because it's like a weird setup. It's like double wishbone with this funky setup where you can change camber via shim, and you don't have to worry about it adjusting the alignment. You can just slam the camber into like -5 or go to 0, and it doesn't mess with the alignment at all, because it's all on this little setup, and then the actual spindle is its own separate thing, and it's got little shims that hold it out or in for camber. And then I put like an oil pan on the car, and TRD intake, because it's a Toyota Celica engine, and then a new intercooler and a supercharger pulley, obviously a new serpentine belt because the pulley is smaller. And then I spent like a month on the phone with this tuner, this guy named Brent from Canada, that basically we put the car on the dyno, and I'd do runs and be like, hey, yo, it's breaking up around $5 grand, and you'd throw some fuel at it, or take some timing out or something.
Is it easier to tune a quad or a car?
Well, for me it's easier to tune a quad, because cars, like, there's so many other noises, and I have no reference because there's no gauges in the car. Like, I don't have an air fuel ratio gauge or a boost gauge, so I'm literally like listening, and I'm like, all right, it's a little rough around $4 grand. The cam's switching over at like 5,200, and I'm like trying to take notes. And again, just like my calendar, I'm doing all of this in my head. I'm not actually physically taking notes. So I'm on the phone with this guy, like, all right, I did this here and it did that there, and then he makes an adjustment and then sends me a file. I flash the file, do it again. So it was kind of a process. But now the car is sick, and it's set up, and I actually don't really want to do anything else to it unless the engine blows up, and then I'm going to K24 swap it, and that'll be fun. But that'll be a whole thing. I don't think the engine's going to blow, but that's going to be... It's literally going to go from like not doing anything else to it to if anything happens to it, it's going to be a full-on like Honda motor that revs to 10 grand and does stupid stuff. Like not crazy power, but like NA, probably like 250, 300 wheel, which would be crazy in that car. And then I also have a brand new Model 3 Performance in white that I just got wrapped and chrome deleted, and the wheels powder coated and ceramic coated, and floor mats and wireless charging inside, and ceramic tint, and I don't know, I can't leave anything stock. And now that I have a house that I just bought, I'm like modifying it and putting cameras all over it and setting up the backyard for FPV and like getting the garage ready and worrying about where I'm going to put like a big shed in the back and put a car lift and a bunch of stupid stuff. So I'm a little strapped right now because I did all of this in like the last month. I bought the Tesla and the house within like 20 days of each other.
I imagine that would strap you.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. Thank you for that. That was good. So the last question for you. You're a product guy. Like, I totally hear it. So here's a question for you. And this is, anyways, if you could have one piece of gear that never breaks, but you can never change it, what would it be?
The HD camera. That would be nice, but it would have to be a lot better than they are right now. It would have to be like HD.
You're stuck with what you have right now. Like,
I mean, I don't. To be fair, I don't break shit anymore. I don't like. I might break. I'll go. I don't fly that much, to be real. Like I might fly like 10 packs a week on a good week, and that's all in one day. So. On average, I fly like in the summer because it's hot. We'll go out in the evening, maybe once a week with John and Kevin. Fly like 6 or 7 packs. So I think there's like a common misconception that I fly every day and I fly like 50 batteries a day. But I think once you get to a certain level, it's actually beneficial to take breaks from flying because it gets stagnant and you do the same things over and over and over and it just gets boring. So if you take breaks from it's very much soothing once you get back behind the sticks because you're not losing anything. Like I can do the same stuff if I didn't fly for a month. I'd be just as good if I didn't fly for a month. It's not like I'm rusty. Like the muscle memory is there and the quads are the exact same. There's no like problems with anything. So but when it comes to like going out and flying, people are always like, "Oh man, did you fly today?" It's like, no, I worked on my cars and I have other hobbies. I went to the climbing gym. Like I would say I fly less now than I do any. Like this is probably the least thing that I do physically flying. I do a lot more on the administrative side, like dealing with products and dealing with maybe buying a camera or something because I'm excited about making a video or coming up with some stupid idea to, I don't know, make a stupid funny video of like should FPV pilots say or something like that. Something that I think is funny. I don't really think it's going to like make this big splash in the FPV community, but it's something like I get more excited about making videos that other people that aren't in the FPV community will like. But they're very diehard FPV. So I know like there's a big trend right now with this whole reverse footage with a bunch of whoosh noises. Like they basically mute the sound and then play the video in the reverse, and then they put like ad lib or Foley noises over the top of stuff. And that's really popular on Instagram, and it gets a lot of views. And I think it's just because people are like, "Whoa, that's kind of cool," and they don't really take into account that it's pretty simple to do. The Foley work's the hardest thing about that. Like the flying, some of that stuff is pretty easy. But like when I make a video of me doing like my stick cams and the DVR footage, that shows a lot of what's going on. It's not just like this magic reverse camera that went through a tiny hole and then showed up behind some waterfall. Like it's physically someone's having fun. You can tell that I'm having fun when I'm flying. You can look at my fingers and you're like, wow, what is this person doing with their hands? And then you see the shitty video in the corner and you're like, what is that? So videos like that to me aren't, like, to be fair, it's really easy to edit. I just go out and fly one battery and I got a video pretty much. It's just getting to the locations and finding a cool spot and actually having camaraderie with friends is really the hard part about the video. But stuff like that, I feel like gets people more excited about FPV than just seeing something that wowed them for 4 seconds and then they swipe to the next thing, you know? Because they're actually invested at that point. They're like, what the fuck is this? Like, why is this guy screaming? And why are his fingers moving around really fast? Where, like, when you see some, like, visual, like, a visual orgasm, you're like, oh, this is cool, and then to the hot girl's ass on the next Instagram post. It doesn't grab your attention for very long. It might get millions of views, but it's not something that you're going to remember in, like, 2 years or something, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I could be wrong. I mean, some of Sharpoo's videos and some of Johnny's videos, I'm sure, have gotten a lot of people into FPV, but to aspire to do that stuff is like aspiring to be Tiger Woods or something. Like, it's a very niche thing that only few people can have the opportunity to do. And you're like, I'm going to make dope videos with FPV drones. Dude, there's been people that have been flying FPV drones for 5 years that aren't even close to doing that. And you think you're going to get in and do that? It's a very high aspiration to be able to try to hold yourself to. So, you know, the kind of grassroots stuff, the skateboarding in your backyard or having a mini ramp or hanging out with friends and camaraderie is kind of where I'm always going to be, I think. I'm never going to get to the point where I feel like you're like a superstar and nobody can talk to you because it's just, you know, you're this guy that made this epic, you're the Steven Spielberg of FPV. Like, I don't give a shit about that kind of title. I'd rather, you know, go to an event and play like Game of Quad with some friends and hang out and do fun stuff. And I think that's a huge misconception when people meet me. They think I'm this like asshole that, you know, is super quiet and not going to talk to them or give them the time of day. And it's like, if I don't give you the time of day, either I'm extremely tired because I have been traveling or something stupid, or you're giving me weird vibes and I'm just being quiet because you're like invading my personal space. If you're just like chill and treat me like a human, then I'm, you know, going to talk to you and we can have a normal conversation. It's pretty much how it comes down. So
yeah, well, I don't know. I found you to be very approachable and very personable. So, and apparently a whole lot easier to get in touch with than I thought, which is good to know. Speaking of, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, I think the easiest way is an email, like either on the ethics email or the ethicsltd@gmail.com or my mrsteelefpv@gmail.com. If you want to like actually physically get in touch with me for some reason and not ask me, my quad's broken, fix it. Like, I don't usually respond to those because it would take hundreds of hours to dive into what their problem is. Yeah. So, and then there's people that message and they're like, I really like your videos, thanks. And I'm like, okay, great. I mean, I can respond to that, but then that might open up a communication to where they want to tell me about everything that they did that day. And I'm not trying to be mean, but I just don't have time. Like, I got stuff to do. So, but yeah, I mean, I have hundreds of people that have probably, you know, no one will ever hear from that I message and fix their problems for them and spend, you know, hours on a Skype call or in a messenger app, like talking about some just thing, trying to help them fix a problem, whether they're using my gear or not. It's just, I try, but I can only do so much as one human that has to do, you know, has to live their own life and is also probably in a different time zone than most people that are trying to talk to me.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Are like in speak another language. There's a lot of Indian people getting into FPV now that the internet has exploded in India. So I had all these people trying to send me stuff like, hey, what should I buy? And it's like, you know, every single one of my videos, all of my videos are like, they have descriptions that have every single thing that I fly, and I could recommend something, but I haven't personally experienced it unless it's in my video description. That's why I do what I do and use the gear that I use is because I know it works. And I'm not gonna, when people ask me like, what should I buy, and then they say, hey, I bought this, is it good? It's like, yeah, it's probably great, but I don't know anything about it, so I'm not going to be able to help you with it. And I'm not about to go research for you how to fix your problem.
Right.
Like, I'm not Google. Even though I'm the drone master, quote unquote, because I can fly well, that doesn't make me Google. I don't know. Yeah, it's a strange concept.
No, I as a guy that has done a lot of tech support in my days, I get it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, thank you, Mr. Steele. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Yeah.
This has been a lot of fun. I learned a lot, which is always fun for me. So thank you very much. I cannot thank Mr. Steele enough for coming on the show. It truly was a delight to have him. He was a gracious and awesome guest, and really honestly, he made my day in coming on the show. Next week's guest has some interesting perspective on drone racing, and I don't think that you're going to want to miss that. So stick around and check him out in the next episode. My name is Mike. This has been the Michael Rollins Show, and I hope that you have a great day.